Hi, and welcome to this live reading from Forbidden Blood by C.R. Robertson, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Fabian, 200 years ago. The hellhound hit me from the side, knocking me to the ground. I rolled to dodge the razor-sharp teeth that would be the next phase of its attack, bouncing up onto my feet to kick it back. "You good?" I shouted to my brother Faulkner. "Just delightful. I was nearly impaled by a dark elf." His voice echoed through the jungle, making me grimace at what we faced. The hellhound lunged forward, trying to snap at my hand to drag my soul back to the hell realm with her. Magic users were highly valuable in hell, and sometimes the princes and lords of hell sent their scouts to find resources through small breaches between worlds they exploited. I drew my sword from the scabbard covering my spine, swiping from right to left in an arc to force my opponent back. Hellhounds were nasty creatures with limited intelligence, but were relentless in the task awarded to them by their masters. And once they set their sights on a target, nothing would stop them except giving them a ticket back to hell. Noises in the undergrowth warned me that other creatures were joining in the chase, and my heart hammered in my ears. We were trained to protect the balance, to ensure that all the realms remained separate, but every day that task got more difficult to perform. I sensed Faulkner sending out an alert to our elders to let them know we had another breach to try and contain. Hell became more troubled every day, and it was becoming more difficult to quell their uprisings. The hellhound leapt forward again, its massive paws landing on my chest and pushing me backward. I lost my footing, tumbling down the slope, crashing into the trees on the way. "Dragon's blood!" I cursed, rolling my body and contorting it to stop me from being injured. I landed on my feet, shaking myself before standing to face what was following me. "You decided to join me," Faulkner said, slapping my shoulder. I narrowed my eyes at him as I gripped my sword tighter. He knew he shouldn't have been that close to where the veil was thinnest between realms. The hellspawn were able to sense his magic and force their way out. He was currently surrounded by dark elves and imps. We were seriously outnumbered. None of them compared to the creature currently stalking me. One bite from this monster, and I was dead. My soul surrendered to one of the reigning princes of hell. I kicked an imp away that had crept forward to try and bite my ankle. "Congratulations on starting your own war," I snapped, swinging my sword as the hellhound entered the clearing, her head low and teeth fully on display, ready to attack. "At least we know where the kennels are located in hell." Faulkner jumped into the air and brought his sword down to slice through one of the nasty imp creatures that tended to creep out of hell whenever there was a breach. They seemed to enjoy feasting on human emotions. "Damn it," I muttered. The last time we had a hellhound on the Earth realm, it took at least 6 of us to restrain it and drag its ass back to hell. Mother would be furious at me for taking it on alone, but if it got loose, the damage it would create would be immeasurable, and innocent souls were at stake. I focused my attention, centered my magic, and held my nerve as I waited for it to attack me. The hellhound paced back and forth, watching me intently, its glowing red eyes moving between me and the sacred blade I held in my hands. Magic wasn't about who created the biggest bang. It consisted of discipline and coordination, and the ability to channel all your energy into one moment. It was hours spent in self-reflection so you could hear the thoughts of the animals in the forest around you. The hellhound snarled, her top lip lifting and eyes glowing brighter. I knew the split second before she moved that she was about to attack, and I closed my eyes and jumped, slotting my sword into its scabbard. Instinct guided me, and I twisted my body in the air, coming to land with a thump on top of a warm, furry body. I grabbed fistfuls of the coarse fur as the creature tried to buck me off, but my knees clamped together and I kept my body low. Hellhounds had teeth and claws, both of which were infused with venom that would kill you in a few hours. They were designed to be used in a forward-facing attack, not when your enemy was on your back. During my shamanic training, I had been allocated a wise woman who specialized in animal magic, while Faulkner had gone to apprentice with one of the master mages. He had teased me relentlessly since his mentor had been one that all trainees wanted to learn under, yet that what I had been taught had touched my soul in a way that had changed me forever. I dug my fingers deeper into the back of the hellhound and activated my communication sigil on my abdomen. Animals didn't communicate in words and sentences, but through emotions. I hung on for dear life as it marauded through the jungle in an attempt to dislodge me. Just as I was about to give up hope, I discovered the tiny shimmer of light I had been searching for in its soul, and I mentally hung onto that as tightly as I was to the fur on the back of its neck. I concentrated on that one tiny spark of divinity that even the darkest souls possessed, and began to communicate with the creature. After a few minutes, its massive paws slowed on the ground, and eventually its head canted to the side as if it listening to me. My heartbeat matched that of the hellhound as I brought us together energetically, my breathing slowing as I commanded it to stop. Its body vibrated as we stood in the jungle, almost as if it was debating what was happening. Easy, I said, stroking my hand down the neck. You don't need to attack anybody today. Evelina had taught me that sometimes you needed to take a leap of faith when dealing with animal communication. I slowly dismounted, holding my hand out. The hellhound's head turned to watch me. I'm not going to hurt you, I said, meeting her gaze so she knew that I meant the words. There were scars on her huge body, suppurating wounds that had gone untreated. I took a step forward and pointed to the wound on its front right leg. She continued to stare at me, a low growl echoing from her chest. I continued to hold her attention, reaching into my satchel to remove one of the jars of healing lotion I carried with me, as we were always getting injured. The hellhound wrinkled its nose when I took the lid off and held it out to her. I held the jar toward the injured leg. Images flashed through my mind of the creature being whipped by its master and a mental band put on its leg. I shared an image of healing energy, inching forward until I touched the injured leg, not shying away, even when a growl washed over me. All creatures were connected by that divine spark of light. Evelina had taught me that. Do no harm if you can help was her second lesson. Sometimes the greatest weapon in war was compassion. I'd spend days, weeks, months healing sick animals until her lessons sank in and I started to feel their pain instinctively and learned how to gain their trust. I treated the wound, infusing healing energy into it while I applied the lotion Mother had made. The massive beast turned to show me another wound near the base of her tail. It was a good sign as she was tentatively trusting me. You know I have to send you back, I said, applying the lotion to the injury. The hellhound whimpered, the huge body trembling again. She tried to move away, but I put a hand on her back. Explain, I said, moving around to meet her eyes. Her life had been a horrendous journey of pain and abuse. The kennel master had bred her relentlessly to help fill his kennels, while attacking her when she tried to protect her young from him. She wasn't evil because she was born in hell, and for the first time in forever, I debated what I should do instead of following orders. A rustle sounded behind us, and I spun to find dark elves emerging from the tree line. The tallest one moved his gaze to the hellhound. I will speak to your master about your behavior. The hellhound leapt forward and decapitated the dark elf, spitting his head out to knock another elf to the ground. My eyebrows shot up since hellhounds were trained not to harm any of the denizens of hell unless instructed by their master. An elf to the left lunged forward with his poison-soaked sword, but I slashed his arm off, his hand still clutching the sword on the ground while his blood spurted from the wound on his arm. I swung again, and the screaming stopped as his head followed his arm. More dark elves plunged through the trees, and the battle commenced again, only this time I had a new comrade. Magical orbs filled with incantations manifested in my hand for me to throw at my enemies, while I wielded my sword again and again. Flashes of light lit up the dim jungle as spells detonated to send the dark elves back to the fiery depths of hell. I felt the energy of our elders arriving and spreading through the jungle. They would be here in a matter of moments, and I made a split-second decision that could be the biggest mistake of my life. I opened a portal to a place I visited when I needed peace, a pocket realm where the hellhound could do no harm. Go, I hissed in an urgent whisper. I'll retrieve you when there is no one around. She stared me straight in the eye before walking into the portal without a backward look. I continued to repel any more denizens of hell who found me until the jungle swarmed with shamans of every shape and form. Where's the hellhound? Faulkner demanded when I finally caught up with him. Did you kill it or have the elders bound it and forced it back to hell? Neither, I replied, sheathing my sword and walking toward the healing station that had been set up. She followed her master's orders and returned home. I didn't look at Faulkner since he was able to read me better than anyone else. Technically, I had told the truth, and all I could pray was that no one would ever find out. What happened here? Elder Elijah stormed through the trees toward us, swatting vines out of his way. There were no reported breach sites in this area. I shrugged. The hellspawn are growing stronger, and they find new ways through every day. We need new means to detect them earlier. He grabbed my arm, and I shook him off. Our ways have prevented their attack for centuries. I slowly turned to face him, fury burning deep in my stomach. We need to do better. Innocent lives were nearly lost today. A hellhound found its way to the Earth realm. If it had been allowed to wander freely, we would have had massacre on our hands. Maybe something worse. It's fine, Fabian, Faulkner said, his hand landing on my shoulder. I'll speak to the elders later when I update them. I shrugged him off, too. Faulkner was my brother, but today was the first time I had questioned what was happening out there. And it left a taste bitterer than poison.